All right, guys, we've got a special segment here with my partner, Victoria Felkar. Victoria, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So we had a question. This is actually from one of our Patreon people, and it related to something that you specialize in, which is women and birth control. So I thought instead of like me and Skip and Andrew trying to answer this question on Blood, Sweat, and Gear, we would turn to you. So we thought we'd have a better answer. And by the way, thank you to everybody who's been supporting us on Patreon. I really appreciate you guys. Here is Dallas's question. He says, I have a question for Blood, Sweat, and Gear. My wife is 6 months postpartum, and her doctor put her back on birth control about 5 months ago. She has been reading about the negative side effects and has been considering getting off of it. She said that her stomach hasn't felt right and that her libido is substantially lower, although that may be from the postpartum. I sent her the clip from Blood, Sweat, and Gear last week where you guys briefly touched on birth control. That affirmed what she had already felt. My question is, do y'all, I like that word y'all, have any supplements or anything that y'all would recommend to help balance her hormones out properly? He must be from the South. She's not a competitor, but she does care about her body and her fitness goals. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. I telepathed that you would have a follow-up question, and that was, which birth control was it? And he said that she is using norethindrone because she can take that while she is breastfeeding. So, Victoria, I am turning this one over to you. What do you got for us on this?
So, to start, that particular pill, so he said that's the one that she was put on because she's breastfeeding. So, that's typically the case. It's a progesterone only, meaning that there's no estrogen, and that lack of estrogen can create certain side effects with the pill that you don't get with formulas that have estrogen in it. With that being said, there are side effects with all hormonal contraceptive agents, no matter what it is, what the route of entry is. So that's just one kind of first entry into the question. So pill, postpartum, breastfeeding, there's a lot of things going on that are creating a state of hormonal chaos. And any of these things could contribute to low sex drive or gastric issues. They could be doing it in combination with each other, which is most likely the fact. Or there could be other variables going on too that aren't necessarily like hormonal specific. But to get to his question, so are there any supplements I would recommend to balance her hormones? So not exactly, no. My biggest advice would be to, rather than trying to fix the chaos that's going on hormonally, support the other systems in place. So things like her gastric issues that he noted. Start there. Those are kind of the secondary symptoms, effects of the kind of state that her body's in, but it's also going to directly affect the state that her body's in. So gastric can cause or negatively impact our hormonal environment, and our hormonal environment can negatively impact gastric issues. Things like making sure she's eating foods that are nutrient dense and she's able to digest and absorb, and meal timing. All of those basic lifestyle interventions can actually have a massive impact before moving on to things that are maybe a little bit more targeted towards gut health. So that's like number one. Number two would be that within the postpartum environment, there's a lot of different lifestyle factors that get shifted. I mean, at the end of the day, you're caring for life. So things like sleep, exercise, nutrition, stress management, those are all things that I would try to get on top of as soon as she is able to, and keep them managed to the best of your guys' ability, because those do also have a massive impact on your hormones, not only like in a recovery time like postpartum, but also when you're on any type of hormonal agent. It's going to just make the body in a healthier overall state to be able to have the drug do the thing that it's supposed to be doing with the least amount of negative implications of it. Also, for when she, or if she decides to go off, you want to have all that stuff in place first. It makes the process easier. So, and then my third takeaway would be to be mindful of products that are specifically targeted towards like hormone balance. These typically have things like DAM, calcium deglucarate, or even Vitex in them, or formulas that are specifically targeting like hormone metabolism. Got to be careful with that stuff because number one, when you're on the pill, it can actually make it worse, some of the symptoms she's experiencing, or render it essentially useless. It definitely decreases the drug's effect if you're trying to get it to pass through the body very, very, very quickly. And also when you're kind of in this very chaotic hormonal state, you don't necessarily want to be doing super uber targeted approaches because the body is really trying to work itself out right now in the postpartum place. So instead, I would focus on things like vitamin D3, vitamin K2 and other fat solubles, magnesium and zinc and selenium and like the essential minerals, omega complexes that have a balanced full spectrum of fatty acids. These are things that we don't necessarily always associate with being like, quote, hormone balancing agents, but they absolutely are. And they have a profound impact on our reproductive hormones and just the overall like physiological environment of our body to be able to further support reproductive health. Number 4 would be to track. So tracking your symptoms is so important. So even though she's not having a regular like menstrual cycle, ovulatory menstrual cycle when you're on the pill, it's still really, really important to track certain symptoms because not only is it going to help you to be able to see like, are these things that are happening cyclically? Are they things that are kind of there and then not, kind of that transient way? No matter what, you're going to be able to start to identify like what is actually going on. If it is something that say is pill related, you're going to see that maybe these are happening at the 3rd week for 2 consecutive months. That is useful then to begin to not only make that targeted approach, but then also to make decisions about like staying on the pill, switching to a different formula, so on and so forth. So those are my 4 takeaways, the 4 things that she could potentially do. None of them are necessarily like specific for hormone balancing, but they're all going to work to establish just a better overall physiological environment for her. So I think the one last thing would be your wife's body is amazing. She made a baby. She made a human. That is incredible. And it takes a lot to be able to do that. It takes time to recover. It takes time to heal and to realign things. And things can happen really quickly in terms of shifts. Sometimes women will have high testosterone and then the next month or even the next week it can be like drop down and then it's just all over the place. It's chaotic.
Yeah.
And often I think people try to find methods to kind of beat your body back into submission of sorts to like get it controlled. And often those don't actually allow the body to do what it needs to do to heal, to recover. So support your overall health, nourish your overall body. And not only is that going to be beneficial if she stays on the pill, but it will be beneficial in the process if she does decide to come off and just to make an overall healthy environment for life.
Awesome.
So that's all I got.
Thank you, Victoria. We appreciate you.